The studio went from very ugly to suddenly very pretty, but more importantly, very smart, because we have some information. Amy Dash is with us, who is our CBS legal analyst. And Tiki, you left the room for a little bit. You were like an Uzi, just firing off info. I don't even know.
Well, my background is a reporter.
Dart.
So when I see all this stuff, my inclination is to investigate.
Which you were doing last night, and you uncovered some old documents.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start
But I want to break it here on this show.
Good. Well, that's why you are here, because you are our girl and the entire network. Let's start with the big name. I mean, obviously, that's the one that most people want to get the most information on initially, and then we'll kind of get into the other branches here.
Sure.
And there's a lot of them. Rick Pitino. In your words, in a way that basically everybody can understand, what is he looking at? Like, big picture, what is Rick exactly looking at?
So he hasn't been charged. Let's start with that. But I think that Rick Pitino is going to be charged in the same vein as these other characters. So I think he's going to be charged with bribery, with conspiracy, and with fraud, honest services fraud. And what that is, it's a federal law that says when you work for an institution that is publicly funded by the government, if you deceive your employers, then you're committing fraud.
Yeah.
Because we know that the university can be fined under the NCAA if their employees aren't following the rules, but also that you're deceiving the taxpayers because they're paying your salary.
Yeah, of course.
So I think he could face up to 80 years like the other guys.
Whoa.
Like the other guys. That's the maximum.
Okay, so what realistically kind of time is he looking at?
We don't know, because I think these other guys are lower level. So I think the whole point in arresting them first was to get them to turn on Pitino. I don't think they have enough yet. I think they have some things, but they need the testimony of these guys. And so if Pitino is the big fish that they're going after, he may not get a lenient sentence.
Yeah, of course.
And these other guys might, in exchange for their testimony against him. But listen, the FBI in the complaint, they already have evidence against Pitino. If he is in fact Coach Chu, they have his phone records. And they have phone records of him talking with Jim Gatto, the Adidas executive, around the time that Brian Bowen,
July 27th-ish,
was being recruited. And there was this scheme going on, the government says, where Adidas was paying $100 grand to Brian Bowen's family. And the idea is that it was at the direction of Rick Pitino. That's going to be the allegation.
Okay, important question here. What is the percentage chance that he is not Coach 2?
I think it's a high percentage that he is Coach Chu, because I was sitting there last night reading the complaint over again before the news broke this morning that some people had confirmed he was Coach Chu, and I was thinking to myself, Coach Chu's got to be Pitino. Because when I was reading the complaint, all the other coaches that were assistants were called assistant coach, Coach 1, assistant coach, Coach 3. But Coach Chu wasn't called assistant coach
I hear you.
in the complaint. And then also when there was some word in this undercover meeting, which was videotaped by the FBI, and Coach 1 from Louisville was there.
That was in the hotel room, right?
Yeah.
In Vegas, if I'm not mistaken.
With the Adidas guy and these financial advisors and the corrupt agent. And Coach 1 is there, and the corrupt agent's trying to get the business of Brian Bowen and these other players. And Coach 1 says, well, Coach 2, he's not the type of guy that will set up agents with players, so it's going to have to go through me and another assistant coach. So he's got to be talking about the head coach there.
Let me just insert this real quick. Obviously, you're here for all the legal stuff, but just to throw this into as a thought, and then we could get back to all the stuff that's happening. Like, I understand that sometimes, desperate times call for desperate measures. Like, if you're truly destitute, or if you make a decent living, but you want to become wealthy. Not that I would recommend this, but I can see why people might get sucked into the temptation. Rick Pitino makes $10, $11 million a year between the school, between Adidas, between the camps that he runs. I mean, what in the world is that? And there's really no answer for this except greed and power.
Yeah, well,
that's your answer. But what is the motivation for Rick Pitino to so flippantly throw his life down the toilet?
He wants to improve his legacy. I don't know. I mean,
if it was him, Coach Chu, he wanted the kid on the team. He wanted the kid. He's probably a competitive guy, and the kid was being offered money from a rival company, according to this complaint. and he wanted that kid on his team. But then it would be really shocking if it's him, because he turns around and goes, "This kid just fell into my lap.
Yeah, what an
hardly had to do any
embarrassment.
work."
Yeah, I read that transcript from the local radio. He's like, it was amazing. And to the point where he actually said, and I think I said this to you off air, to the point where he said during the radio interview in which he divulged that it just fell in my lap, he said that it was like an unofficial visit, I think. So he made the kid, at least he told the interviewer, pay for the expenses. I mean, just a blatant lie.
Here's $100 grand. Pay for it yourself.
Wow. Yeah, right? Exactly.
Well, I mean, also, he was making a call if it was him. So maybe he figured, listen, I'll make a call. That was the idea of it. Pull my weight, but I won't be involved in the dirty business. Coach One was at the meeting. Was he sending Coach One to do his dirty work? We don't know yet. Coach One is probably going to be charged and have to turn on Coach Two.
Amy, why did the FBI originally open this investigation?
Okay, so what happened is there was a financial advisor named Marty Blazer in Pittsburgh, and he was stealing money from professional athletes in a Ponzi scheme. So they charged him, and he said, "I'm going to help you. I don't want to go to jail. I've got people for you who I know are doing this." And so that's when
he opened the door.
Wow. They wired him up. He became the mole. And he went out, and first he met this guy, Rashawn Michelle, who is a former NBA and NCAA ref, who actually knew all of the coaches. And he said he met him through an unknown sports agent. So we don't know who connected him with Rashawn Michelle, but he's like, yeah, I used to be a ref, and now I make suits, and I know everybody, and I know the coaches that are going to take the bribes.
The guy in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you look at his Instagram, he outfits everybody before the draft. Almost.
Well, who was I just talking? It may have been London Fletcher. Yeah. I mean, Fletcher's not connected. Let me be clear about that. But we were talking about during a commercial break on Tops on Sunday, something about somebody's suit, and we started talking about this guy in Atlanta, this renowned for all the. I don't know if it's the same guy. Yeah, it could be.
So that started this whole process. They let the investigation go through, and obviously they started clipping people off.
Yeah, because he's like, give me money and I'll introduce you to these coaches, and they'll take money and then they'll give you the players so you can be their financial advisor when they make it to the NBA and you can make money off the players. So then they go to Chuck Person. He's like, my kids trust me. Give me 50 grand, 60 grand, and I'll introduce you to these kids and tell them to make you the financial advisor. Problem is, if Chuck Person had just Googled this guy, Marty Blazer, he would have seen he was being brought up on federal charges. It was all over Google, but he didn't look into his background. He just handed him off to the kids and said, oh, he was my advisor, and he was Charles Barkley's advisor, and I trust this guy. And then the parents say, thank you so much for surrounding us with the right people and taking care of our son. Thank you, coach. And then the players are saying to all these coaches that are handing them off to the advisors, if he's good with you, he's good with me 100%.
Due diligence goes a really long way. Amy, when you think about this case, as it sits right now, we're talking about Rick Pitino and a couple of these assistant coaches, but our CBS insider, John Rothstein, just announced probably 2 or 3 hours ago that Miami is also being investigated. What do you know about the University of Miami and Coach Larinaga down there?
It's the same situation, and as I was telling Brandon before the show, there's a common thread here, and that is this agent, Christian Dawkins, who was apparently setting up all these meetings between the coaches, and it hasn't really been mentioned, but Christian Dawkins, during the time of some of these bribes, was working for the biggest NBA agent, one of them out there, Andy Miller. And so if you look at, who is the common thread under all of this, I think it's Andy Miller. His office was raided by the FBI right after the arrest took place. And they got his computer. And basically, Christian was sent out, I think, by Andy Miller to, get prospects. And there is actually a lawsuit that I found where LeBron James's agent, Kurt Schopler, had hired Christian Dawkins to go out and get NBA prospects to sign with him before they make it to the NBA.
So he's a runner.
Yeah, but instead he started handing them off to Andy Miller. And then LeBron James's agent sued this other agent, Andy Miller, and said, well, Christian Dawkins is giving you KJ McDaniels and Jarrell Martin, and they were my clients. But the bottom line is this agent was sent out by higher-level agents, his bosses, with a liberal spending account to get players to sign with these agents, even at the high school level. Wow. There's even a lawsuit against Andy Miller that says that he conspired with Thomas Billups, who is a high school coach.
This is Monte Ellis' former coach.
Monte Ellis, to steal Monte Ellis from another agent who wanted him, and that Billups and Andy Miller went there with disguises. They were wearing wigs and glasses, and they bought him an Escalade. They bought the kid an Escalade, and then he ended up going and signing with Andy Miller.
He did not go to college, for those who might not remember about Monte. I want to ask you this. Amy Dash, of course, CBS Sports legal analyst with us in studio, Tiki and Tierney. I don't know if you can actually quantify this in a specific term, but I'm real curious of your guess, your best guess. When they said that, it's better for you to come to us. If you surmise that you did something wrong, come tell us rather than having us knock on your door because we have your playbook. So it was in essence a plea to those who may have committed crimes. If we'll say, I'm not even going to mention a real school, University Y. Oh, geez, I think we're involved in this. They pick up the phone, they call the Southern District and everybody spearheading this investigation here in New York, and they're forthright, and they throw themselves on not the court, but on their mercy. We messed up, we're guilty. How lenient would they truly be? Like, are they just saying that to appease people or incentivize them and still drill them, or would they actually truly be lenient?
Or are they also bluffing?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I think they would be very lenient.
You
I really do.
do.
Yeah, because it's saving the expense from law enforcement to pursue these people and investigate them. It's saving on court costs to go through the system. And especially if they have information, it's all about getting the bigger guy, right? So if they have information that can lead to other investigations, then they'll be even more lenient. But I think accepting responsibility has always been applauded by the court system.
Yeah. Amy, how much wider is this going to grow?
Like I said, I think Pitino will probably be charged if they get some of these guys to strike deals. Also, the FBI has a list of like around 10 to 15 other coaches that were working with Christian Dawkins.
Yeah. What about the other?
So they're going to be investigated.
Yeah. What about the other shoe companies? Because we know that Nike got a subpoena. What does it mean for the other entities like Under Armour, Nike, etc.?
I don't think so much, because now that this is out, unless they've been doing parallel investigations, I don't think they would have enough evidence to charge them just based on testimony. Here, they have videotaped, audio-taped undercover operations where these people are talking about how illegal it is, what they're doing, and how to cover it up, and how it violates the NCAA rules. They're on tape saying this, point blank. To the players, to each other, here's how we're going to funnel the money. Adidas is going to send the money to this AAU coach's account. And then Christian is going to pay this guy. And we're going to have fake purchase orders and cover it up this way. So this was a scheme of epic proportions that, like you said, has probably been going on for a long time with a lot of people. I guarantee you tons of NBA players went through this.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I want to ask you that. Just lead me to my next question. If there's an NBA player, whether it's a prominence or not, but we'll use prominence because that's what's going to, generate real interest. If it's like a superstar who, whether it's 5 years ago or 10 years ago, was involved in this in college, retroactive, you can't take away the kid, his eligibility. He's done with college. You can't wipe out his earnings in the NBA. Like, what would they face criminally? What would happen to them?
I don't think anything with the NBA players, but the NBA Players Association came in and said that they're going to go after the agents like Andy Miller. And Andy Miller, there was another suit where there was a judgment against him for millions of dollars for stealing Kevin Garnett from a different agent. So how do you think he stole him? If he's going around with all these other people offering them Escalades and money, how do you think he's stealing some of the biggest stars out there when they're young?
Yeah.
Not by
going
a pinky
to the
swear.
coaches.
Yeah, when he's at the University of Texas, you mean.
Wow.
Yeah. No.
Oh, my God. This is crazy.
It wasn't because I'm better looking. I'm going to take you to better dinners.
Don't you love this? Is this interesting to you?
It's really fascinating to me, but
it's so different.
It's so big. I haven't seen something this complicated and convoluted in a while. So, like I said, that's why I was sort of looking into how do all these motley characters know each other? You got the suit maker and you got the agent.
It's a strange roster.
Yeah.
No, there's no real rhyme or reason. You have agents and street agents and people who are highly educated, people who are hustlers, and they all came together and they formed this one business, which quite frankly was pretty profitable for a while until it's not.
But they're preying on people. I mean, the bottom line is they want the NBA money. The financial advisors, the agents, they want the NBA money. So they're going and they're finding who's going to make it to the NBA. Let's get them while they're young.
Yeah.
Let's
Unlike
get
the
the
NFL, where it's not
coaches-
all guaranteed. Every NBA penny is guaranteed, so there's more incentive.
Exactly.
to
And they
latch
get
on.
the kids through the coaches because a lot of the assistant coaches and high school coaches want the money.
Yeah.
They're not making a lot.
Amy Dash. Amy Dash. Show's over, Amy. Show's over.
Thank you guys for having
Let
me.
me ask you this. So you're welcome. Tiki's doing the Fox game. Got about a minute here, Tiki, a little less. Tiki's off tomorrow.
Yep.
He's doing the Fox game with Rondé.
Yes, Giants-Bucks.
And Giants-Bucks on Fox. Kenny Albert in the middle. I am all over Tiki. I do not believe that he is going to do a good job repping the show, saying my name. Do you have faith in Tiki to get this job done?
I do because I heard positive feedback about his last performance.
Thank you.
Ooh.
So there you go. So he has a track record
Yeah, but here's the thing. Wait, past performance with what?
with doing these types of
No, when did you ever
commentary.
drop my name? I always drop your name.
drop
When
your
did you
name.
never drop my
Commentary
name?
I
with
drop
his
your name.
brother.
And it's with
Pe-
Rondé.
People
about
want
us.
to
Don't
meet
care about
them.
me.
They want to take pictures with them, get autographs. These guys are a big deal.
They are a big deal.
They're twins.
Especially in Tampa.
Women love twins.
Dude, you got to get your pics. Wow. We're ending on that. That could be a whole segment. Women love twins. I mean, the segment's just starting.
Especially
here.
Barber
Are you kidding
twins,
me?
right?
Get your pics in. Six pack of pics for
I do.
tomorrow.
I got some surprises for you.
You have a safe flight. You have a great time
Thank
on
you.
Fox.
Appreciate it,
man.
brother.
Knock
It's
it
gonna
out,
be fun.
brother. Andy, good seeing you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you guys for having me.
All right, we'll see you.
Peace. Gotta go.